السلام عليكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Praise belongs to Allah, the provider and nurturer of the entire universe. In Him we seek assistance from and guidance from and forgiveness from. In Him we believe, in Him we place our trust. We testify that this is worship except Allah alone. We testify that Muhammad, whom the Quran was sent, is His messenger and servant. May peace and blessings be upon him. In the Quran, Allah tells us the purpose of fasting, and He uses the phrase, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. This is the purpose of fasting. To use the original wording, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And لَعَلَّ in Arabic, it means more than likely, probably, hopefully. It has that sort of, it conveys that type of idea. And as we know, in terms of an obligation, we're only obligated to fast in Ramadan. Khutbah alaykum siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. We're only obligated to fast in that month, the month of Ramadan. And so the verse, or the statement I recited rather, is from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 183, if I'm not mistaken. The phrase لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, I should say, translated, so that perhaps you will gain taqwa, that you'll grow in your respect and love for Allah. The phrase la'alla shows that there is a possibility that fasting may not have an immediate effect. So Allah tells us that we are to do it again and again. In other words, we don't fast, once every 5 years. We don't fast once every 5 years as a discipline, as one of the pillars of our religion. We fast 1 month out of the entire year, or an entire month out of the entire year. So, and we have to keep doing that. So if we live to next year, we can't say, I fasted last year, so it's okay. No, you have to fast. Unless there's something, a medical problem or something like that, which I'll get into in a little while. But if we live until next year, we have to fast. Life is not stale, nor is it stagnant. Neither is our taqwa. Neither is our iman. We can be, the most faithful people, full of faith and all that right now, and then tomorrow lose it all. Like, I don't care about Islam stuff anymore. I don't care about prayers anymore. That can happen. Because this is life. This can happen. Life isn't stagnant. So Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the month of Ramadan really so we can engage in serious introspection. And it's very obvious. If you see Muslims, some of us who are not usually that much into religion, we pray when we feel like it and all that. When Ramadan comes around, you will swear that these people are saints. These are saints or angels walking the earth. And that doesn't mean because they're good or bad, or it only means because of the power of Ramadan. Because this is what Allah wants from us, really. So Ramadan is something special, not to be taken for granted. Ramadan is something special, not to be taken for granted. And Allah also tells us, He says that the month of Ramadan, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, that the month of Ramadan, Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was sent. For what purpose? It says, هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ مُبَيِّنَةً مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. That is a guidance for people, clear evidence, again a guidance and a criterion for judgment. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ شَهْرًا فَلْيَصُمْهُ. So if you are present, in other words, if you're at home, if you don't have a pressing excuse, then you have to fast in that month, in the month of Ramadan. And this is from verse number 186 of Surah Al-Baqarah. So we see that the Quran is connected, is specifically connected to fasting. I should say the Quran is connected to Ramadan, which of course is associated with fasting. Fasting enhances the spiritual capabilities that people that you already have. Just like when you go to university, you have some kind of talent. You know, you're good with math. You're good with math. You're good with something. And then you study engineering. Why do you study engineering? Because it enhances your ability it enhances what you already have inside of yourself. That little bit of knowledge that you gain from going to university, it helps you to kind of tweak, you know, that quality that you already have. So fasting is a similar thing. It enhances the ability or the spiritual capabilities that we already have. Moreover, it also enhances one's ability to understand and to apply the Quran itself. And as we said earlier, the Quran is clear evidence, a guide, and an ultimate tool for judgment. In our tradition, we read the Quran every day during the month of Ramadan. And, you know, the mosques will have an imam reciting the entire text in the Tarawih prayers. Usually that will happen, and we will have it tonight and throughout Ramadan. We'll have a Hafiz here is going to do that for us. So these traditions should be observed and should not be discarded. And the reason is obvious. It's because the Quran discusses everything. I told you earlier, it's Khutbah, it's Al-Furqan, it's a guidance, and it's a tool to make judgment with. So at some point or another, while engaging the Quran, if we are following this tradition of reading the Quran every day in prayer or hearing it being recited and especially when we understand it. So at some point or another, when we are engaging the Quran like that, we are going to come across something that we need. We are going to come across something that we need, whether it's in a spiritual issue or whether it's in a life issue, a mundane issue, whatever. At some point, we are going to come across Allah's guidance while we're fasting, while we are hearing the Quran, while we are reading the Quran. Fasting and reading the Quran, it makes us become better people, reforming any bad actions and correcting any incorrect information. So this is the value of the Quran, especially while fasting. This is the value of studying and reading the Quran, especially while fasting. Now the Quran reading in Ramadan also entails looking at the flaws. And for example, I can tell you that adultery is wrong. Adultery is wrong. Yes, adultery is wrong. This is something that the Quran teaches. This is something that every religion teaches in some way or another. That adultery is wrong. I don't need to quote any verses. Adultery is wrong. And so let's say, God forbid, that somebody is committing adultery or is involved in a relationship that is not legitimate according to Islam. So when I say Ramadan allows you to examine why are you involved in that? Why are you involved in that particular thing? The question becomes why? Knowing that it's wrong, knowing that it's something which God doesn't want you to do, why are you involved in this particular thing? When you know that the consequences of it are not going to be good consequences. In the end, it's going to blow up in your face. Why do it? In the end, you know it's going to blow up in your face. The answer to that type of question will be found in the Quran somewhere by the person who is reading it, by the person who is fasting. Somewhere along the line, he's going to discover, this is why I'm doing this. And maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should address the thing which is causing me to do it. I hope this makes sense. So Ramadan is a time for serious self-introspection. Some people believe that Ramadan is a holiday, in the same manner that Christmas is. A Christmas tree and presents and good food, turkey and stuffing and all that. Some people believe that. But we disagree with this interpretation slightly. Because Ramadan is a serious period. And it does have its own, it has its joy and happiness and blessing and all that. But it's not a holiday necessarily.